Hey Sam, always great to see you here at Island Fishing Tackle. Thanks for having me into the store again.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
I know,
Yeah,
I've been running around like a
busy.
chicken with my head cut off.
Yeah.
I'm settling down again, and of course, man, as we look around, first of all, just a comment about the bite in northern Baja and Southern California. Phenomenal amount of fish around right now.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, the opportunities right now for someone to catch their first dorado, to catch a 100+ pound bluefin. I mean, it's incredible, and within short distance. It isn't like they're having to make a, long 12, 13 hour run. I mean, this stuff is right out front, and so if you have a small boat, big boat, everybody has access to it, and it's spread way out. It isn't like it's all one little small pocket of fish that everyone's kind of jumping on. It's everywhere.
It's so close. My son Philip is thinking about throwing his bass boat in the water.
Oh, I'm sure
and going out and trying to catch a bluefin
100%.
or something.
I mean, if you can go 30 miles, he'd be well within the zone.
Yeah, definitely.
And guys are getting them in 10 miles.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you can make 30 miles, 100% you would be in the zone.
So let's focus in on bluefin tuna because, part of the problem is everybody's gone crazy in terms of purchasing product.
Right.
We're running out of stuff. And I think that's becoming the mother of invention. We're starting to find other things that are working.
Yeah. Also, too, there's a few little things that we're going to show you right now that I would say is maybe more of the private boater oriented stuff, and then some stuff that is kind of everybody, but also a sport boat guy would want to take note of this stuff. So some of the stuff we're going to show is really going to be more private boater stuff, and we've been getting a lot more of that. Our shop's not really known for being a private boater central type thing. But because we have a lot of the big gear that is long range gear, a lot of those guys have been coming through and having us rig stuff for them. And so I'm just going to share some of the things that they've been sharing with me as to what's been working for them.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Let's do it. What's first?
All right. So one of the first things here is on the local stuff, the Cold Sniper style jig, Zakana jig is still working real good. And as you can see on this guy here, I've upgraded it to a, I believe this is a 2.0 owner 4X strong hook. And we actually welded it on there, which we can do to your jigs, but we also found that the super strong split rings from owner have been working really good. So actually for most guys that's what we do, but if they request that, we'll do that. And then the other thing too that one of our customers, good customers, Dave Verdomo, he showed me a way to have a quick snap. Now there's a lot of quick snap type lure clips out there, a lot of good ones. This is one made from Momoy that we have here, and basically it's called an escape proof snap, and it's got a swivel on there, ball bearing swivel, and as you can see here how easy it is to change out. I mean, this is so nice. Now the one requirement,
and that's important when you've got fish and you're trying to change, and
you're not having to retie, and sometimes when in the hurry that retie, maybe you don't make a good knot, and that was it right, that was your one chance. So you make one good knot here to your leader or whatever you got going on off your rod. Obviously you do that once and make sure it's a good knot. But now when you go to change and you put a new lure on, it's that quick and you're not worried about this knot here, you're having to redo it a bunch of times. And it also has that swivel so your line won't get as twisted up.
I love it.
And it's good. The only requirement of this that kind of poses a little bit of a limitation is that the gap in here isn't that big. So even like a surface iron, the wire that they use for a surface iron, yo-yo iron, is too big for this. So this is really something more for the this kind of jig here, the Cold Sniper style, Zakana style jig. If you have some stuff like this that you're using, and they've been working really good, as everybody knows, this is one way here, this snap, to do a quick change. So that's pretty nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And like I said, that's kind of more of a every guy type of thing. Also, too, want to show these Nomad jigs here. I know the guys on the Royal Star, Diego, show me pictures all the time of guys doing really good with that. So it's a very similar lure. The one thing about this guy I think I like a little bit better is that when you're getting the medium-sized fish, let's say, nowadays we call medium fish, 50 to 80, 100 pounds.
What the heck kind of world are we living in?
They got a pretty good hook on them, so you could probably leave the stock hook on this guy and do good. So this is the Ridgeback from Nomad. All right,
good stuff.
Cool. And then another lure that we want to kind of maybe focus on a little bit is guys are looking for clear poppers.
Yeah.
And
they're hard to come by now, aren't they?
There really is only one or two manufacturers that make anything that is kind of recognized as this is the one. But there is some other things out there that some of our customers have been bringing to us. Nomad has, in their color scheme, they have these clear, a popper down here and stick baits up here. And they've been having good luck with these here. I'm not sure what it is with the clear. You know, we've always kind of looked for things that look like a mackerel or a sardine or anchovy, you know, which is our local, you know, forage fish. But for whatever reason, these clear lures, they get bit, you know. And I'm pretty sure even the lure companies have done their research and they figured out that there's something about this clear.
And what's the name of these lures?
So these are from Nomad. This is a Riptide. This is kind of like a stick bait here. And it's pretty good. It's like a 1 1/4 ounces, so it does cast pretty good. This guy here is the Mad Scad. This is a kind of also a heavy jig, but it'll swim on a straight wind, so this is pretty good there. Whereas the previous one is kind of more like a skip jerk type bait, and then this is just your popper. This is it's got a funny name. It's called a Chuck Norris.
The Chuck Norris, man.
Yeah. But this medium sized one here, 150, is about the most popular size. Yeah. Then they have a ton of colors, but everything has to be clear now, seems like.
Chuck Norris is going to have a copyright suit. Is he still around, by the way? Do you know?
I think so, yeah.
I don't even know.
He's still selling the workout things.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Another lure here that I want to show you guys here. This is from Shimano. This is called, it used to be called the Colt Sniper stick bait, but I think they had some copyright things too. They changed their name to Current Sniper. This is the 170 size. This is the larger of the two.
Yeah. And
this is a lure here that is very popular down in Bay of LA, down there, you know, Gonzaga Bay for fishing Cabrilla and yellowtail down there, and it's been around for a long time and used a lot. But one of our former employees, a guy that he actually still helps us out quite a bit here with different things, Matt Olson, you know, he's been talking about this for a few years now and having good luck, and he said it's okay to kind of spill the beans on it.
He was trying to keep it quiet for a while?
Yeah, he's been doing really good with these things here. And he does change the hooks out. This is also a 2.0, or maybe this might be a 3.0 in that owner as well.
Yeah.
So he does change that out just because he has been catching some really big fish. We'll be showing you some pictures of those.
And Matt's a really good fisherman, right?
Really good fisherman.
Thank him for sharing his knowledge with us.
He gets out on the water, you know, seems like a couple times a week. And normally you would look at this lure here as something that'd be a diving type lure, so you wouldn't think about bluefin, you know, always thinking about surface stick baits and poppers and things like that.
Right.
But on a straight wind, this will have a good swimming action because of the bill, and obviously it's been working. You know, he's been doing really good with them here.
Yep.
Another lure very similar to that is from Yozuri. Once again, more of a, you know, Cabrilla bass lure. In fact, some of our local guys that fish bass around PV, even though there hasn't been good bass fishing here on the coast, those guys continue to do good on these over there along the coast, or, you know, Palos Verdes coast.
Yeah.
But the one thing I like about these is it's also a 170, but they do have a little bit heavier duty hook. So unless you're fishing super heavy line with a super, you know, big rod and reel,
no need to change them out.
You should be good on that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice.
Perfect.
Yeah. So that's
lots of new stuff, and they're all effective. That's good news, man.
And you know, we're still getting bid on the, you know, your knife jigs, you know, 200 to 300. But one thing we have been kind of seeing, a couple customers, this has been kind of something that the guys have been showing us, that on occasion when the fish aren't that deep, you know, where they're in the like 200 to 300 feet,
right,
and also you don't have a ton of current, they've been using these skinnier jigs. So as you can see, these two jigs are pretty much the same length.
Yes.
And that provides almost the same presentation. One of them being 300 gram, and this guy here is 170 gram.
Yeah, I can see it,
so
the difference.
Super skinny.
Yeah.
And so what it does is that it stays in the zone longer.
Okay.
So it doesn't go past the fish.
Yes.
Sometimes these jigs just go shooting right past them.
I've heard many guys say that fish the lightest jig you can get away with. If there's no wind and current, get down and you'll get bit more often.
So this is one from Shimano. It's called Shimmerfall.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's others out there, but you can see it's got a nice length, so it's also easy to jig as you're jerking on the rod and jigging the jig here. It's a lot easier to give it some good action.
Yes.
And wind on, obviously it's half the weight, but still has a pretty large profile, you know, presentation. It's got a good length. So
this would be used when there's no current, there's no wind, and you're not fishing that deep.
Right. And it seems like a lot of daytime, you know, seems to be kind of where these are a little bit more effective. They want that lure to stay in the zone a little longer.
Would you toss that in a foamer? Or
I would.
Yeah,
yeah, why not? You know, it's the same thing. You know, it's something that's just going to stay in the zone better.
Yeah.
I'm sure at night there's going to be times where it's going to work too, but it seems like at night this fish seem to hold a little deeper.
Yeah.
And we go back to those heavier jigs. But,
Yes.
But at this point now, from what the guys are telling me, customers are telling me that that something like that on certain days seems to work a little bit better.
Yeah, yeah. Great stuff, Sam.
So now we're going to kind of switch gears a little bit to some more private boater oriented stuff. So we all know that, you know, the Mad Max has been kind of the hottest lure on the world.
Oh my God, everybody's.
Yeah, you get a you know, pallet of those, you can pretty much retire on them now.
I know.
Like, you know,
yeah, they're worth more than gold, aren't they?
Yes, it would for weight, for sure, you know.
Yeah.
Guys are selling for a bunch of money. But as those have run out, you know, guys, same thing, you know, because of necessity, they're still going out fishing.
And they're thinking, what can I do
Yeah.
to something different? Yeah.
So the old mainstay, you know, this is the Yozuri Bonita,
Yeah.
but we've known them around here, Southern California, forever as a Marauder.
Yes.
So if you have some Marauders, some old Marauders in your garage, as long as they have the good hardware on them, sometimes some of those older ones came with some double hooks or some, you know, weaker hardware, or if you just got old hooks on them, maybe that aren't very sharp or the swivels aren't too good,
Yeah.
change them out. But these come out of the box with a swivel and a heavy duty hook with a big barb, so they're pretty good out of the box.
What do they cost?
About the same, 40,
Okay.
50 bucks.
Okay.
You know, yeah, it costs about the same. And maybe you could make the argument and maybe a little bit better value because the hooks already are a heavy duty hook with a large barb.
There you go.
On the Mad Max, obviously they're very, very effective lures, but guys do change out the rear hook to a treble hook because the fish kind of fall off sometimes with the hook that they have stock. So these guys are really good here.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
And do you think they are as effective as the Mad Mac?
Well, it's so hard to gauge, you know. I mean,
It really
you know,
is.
on any given day, a guy comes into the shop and says, you know what, I was trolling a Mad Max for 3 hours and they threw one of these in and they got bit. But sometimes it's a time of day thing. It's really hard to measure because with the boats fishing them, you can't fish 25 rods, you know, like you would on a sport boat.
Yeah, right.
You got 20 guys fishing and one guy's catching them all. Well, it's because he's using light line or he's using a certain jig. Or you can say, oh yeah, that jig was biting that day. You only control really one of these at a time because you got to troll them so far back. Most boats you can't even troll two of them because the lines will get tangled anytime you turn.
Yeah, right.
So since you can really only troll one, it's hard to make the assessment. But I will say, as far as feedback, it seems like I get as many guys coming in showing me pictures of one lure over another. It could be that that's all that's left as far as lures available, but the fish are eating them for sure.
I would think. You know,
Yeah.
and part of the other thing is, Sam, that 99% of the people out there are trolling Mad Max right now. So you're hearing Mad Mac,
Obviously.
Mad Mac, Mad
Yeah.
Mac, Mad Mac.
Yeah.
But you troll a Marauder, and you're probably going to get bit too.
They've been
so.
getting bit, yeah. Another detail too that I had a few customers that came in and lost their Mad Max was that they weren't using big enough gear. This is a 50 size reel here with some 130 pound mono on it, a long piece of it on there, with a heavy rod, pretty much the heaviest rod you got. This is a UC Invictus, which is their like 100 to 150 pound rod.
Mm-hmm.
And then also on the lure itself, you want to put on there a heavy bite leader, just like we do on our knife jigs.
Yes.
This is something that's pretty important.
Super important, right?
Guys are getting bit off on these a lot.
Yeah.
So they'll go out there, they've been trolling for 3 hours, they finally get in the bite time of the day, and they get bit off. And they're like, man, that was crazy, I was using 80 pound. Well, that's no match for 150, 200 pound tuna. They got big teeth.
Yeah.
And with all that pressure, you know, from the troll and that big heavy fish, they've been biting you off. You know, that's pretty common.
So I'm guessing at least 200?
At least 200. And even some guys I've heard this year, I've never heard it before in years past, 200 pound getting chafed through, you know. And I've seen the leaders the guys have brought back, and it's clear evidence of some heavy duty chafing. And I would have never thought in 100 years that you can chafe through 200 pound in like a half an hour. But yeah, well, I haven't seen it that much, but a few times. So if you have 300, I would say put 300. If you have 400, put 4. But it seems like 2 is where you want to start for sure.
Okay, yeah.
You want about a 6-foot leader as well. There have been times where these fish, as they go to eat them, they'll swallow them. And on occasion, they'll swallow them and it'll actually even come out their gills, you know. And so they might have a whole bunch of line that they're chewing on. So
Yeah.
6 foot is a safe length. You can go a little bit short, a little bit longer, but right around 6 foot. And then back on the trolling part of it is, I think everybody is already well aware, but spreader bars, they've been working really good for a couple years now.
Yes, they have.
But one of the things I want to kind of highlight on these here, these are from Torre, and they're not the only ones that make them, but these are directional. If you see, they're marked with either port or starboard, and so if they're not, then they're just going to be straight. They go down the center. But this guy here is marked starboard, so that one's going to end up basically going to the starboard side of the boat, like way off to the side. The bird itself has a directional piece of plexiglass that's attached to it, and basically acts like a rudder, and it pulls it to the one side. Now, you don't really get bit because of the rudder part of it. You can see that there.
Yeah.
But what it does is because it makes your spread that much further out.
Right.
It acts like a super long outrigger, and now you control another lure way back.
That is awesome.
So it allows you to troll multiple lures by having that there.
What's that cost?
These are $200.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Now, one of the things you want to be careful with these because of the price is that because you are trolling them way back, is be mindful of the boat traffic out there.
Yeah, because
when it's busy on the weekend, I hear about it all the time. Guys get run over.
Oh yeah.
So you got to be watching too. And it's hard. You're looking for bird schools and things like that. But 200 yards is a long way, and that's how far these things are trolling. So you want to be mindful of your own line, but also other people's lines too.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, people get sawed off all the time.
Yes.
By other boats. And then past that, something that's been around a long time, but it seemed like this year, even last year a little bit, but even this year in the get-go, there wasn't whole much kite fishing, with the flyers. And so, but it seems like here as of late, the last 2 weeks, our customers have been coming in with some pretty big scores on the kite. But as of note, they've been catching bigger fish. So we're on the troll, it's a spread. They catch big fish, but everything from a 40-pounder to 240-pounder.
Yeah.
There's been obviously some really, really big fish caught, but you kind of catch everything.
Yeah.
You can't weed them out really. Whereas with the kite, it seems like it does weed them out, and they are catching more of that 140 to 200.
Okay.
The big fish.
So if you're big fish hunting.
Yeah. If you're just trying to catch one big one, it seems like the kite is one way to do it. You may not catch as much volume, but it's getting better and better. It seems like as the weeks come along here.
Yes.
So some of the things we want to show you here is obviously we carry the frozen baits here from G-Fly Baits. These are all caught one at a time. They're local islands and vacuum sealed on the spot. And they're really, really, really good baits.
Keeps them in great shape.
Keeps them in great shape, so you can use them for a long time. You can really soak a bait almost a whole day, if you have that day where they're just not eating them. But it really, really does a good job. And so you might be soaking that thing for a couple hours, and when the fish finally show up, that thing's in good shape still, and it doesn't just fall apart.
Right.
So it's really good. If you don't have those, very popular has been these artificial flyers. This is one from Sea Monster. This is a kamikaze, they call it. And this one in particular is a new one that they have. You can't really tell it apart too much. You can see here they're very similar. This is the smaller ones.
Yeah.
But this one here is a floating one. So they just developed this one here. They brought us the first order. And the big deal with this guy here is that because it floats, you don't need a kite. So you can fish it on the slide, if you're on a sport boat. So this is something that maybe would kind of like cross over into the sport boat category.
Yeah. And
they put a lot of R&D into it to make sure that when it floats, it's floating flat.
Yeah.
There's some other lures out there that float, but they'll be tail down, and almost most of the body's in the water. So technically it floats.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really
look natural.
It doesn't look natural.
Yes.
So with this guy here, also you can fish it on the drift and fish it upwind here as the boat is drifting down. You can fish it, you'll have it on the upwind side, because as you're drifting away, you'll drift away from it. And you'll wind it in about 10 winds, and it'll skip right on the surface. Things look pretty nice. We got to do some video on this.
Would you frickin' throw that on a foamer?
You may. I don't know how much it'll cast.
Yeah. Is it heavy?
It's not heavy. It's not heavy at all. It's kind of heavy, but I think with the wings, it may not travel through the air.
Yeah.
I would just drag this over a foamer.
Yes.
That'd probably be the way to do
Yeah.
it. Drag it way back over a foamer.
Man, that's cool that it floats and it looks natural.
Yeah.
And you're out of the kite thing if you want to be.
Yeah.
That's bitching.
And then they also have the larger one here.
Is that a floating one?
This is not a floating one.
Okay.
This is definitely has to be on a kite. And this looks big, but if you see some of the frozen
Look at those ones you just showed. They're about that
just as
size,
big.
right?
Yeah. So they obviously did all their research, and this is about the size of the larger versions of the California Flyer.
Who makes these? Is it somebody in the United States or not?
Yeah. They're made local, right here in Orange County.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. The guy who makes them, he's like a prop maker for the studios.
Oh, that makes sense. And he's an avid fisherman and said, hey, I can make those.
Yeah. In fact,
Good for him.
He just dropped those off and bought a bunch of taco. He's going fishing tomorrow. So
awesome.
hopefully we'll get some pictures from those guys.
Shoot, yeah, man. That would be bitching.
And then lately there's another thing that guys have brought to my attention that, like I was telling you earlier, it seems like it's new. It definitely is new to Southern California. This is a East Coast product. And the guys who brought it to my attention are guys that fish down in Cabo quite a bit. They see it down there, and they wanted to try it, so I brought some in. And it's called a Z-Wing. So once again, not anything new. This is a downrigger type planer.
All right, so that's going to get your bait down. Or jig or whatever you're doing.
Or whatever,
right?
yeah. So the whole deal with this is that you basically drop this in the water.
Yeah.
You could drop it down as far as you can, obviously 100 feet, 150 feet. But the thing that's nice about the Z-Wing is that it'll pull pretty perpendicular to the boat. You're not going to get too much scope on it. And so you get it down to your depth. You get some type of release clip. This is just one that we have here at the shop. I know that I was watching some of the videos on that thing, and guys are pretty good at using certain types of clips and rubber bands, and they kind of got the poundage worked out. But this is one that is from AFTCO. This is it's called a flatline clip. And so you would just put your line in there, close that up. You could actually set the tension for how much tension you want it to have.
Oh, that's cool. Very cool.
Before it opens up. And so you would do this all above the boat. This thing's going to be 100 feet down or however deep you wanted it.
You can get it deeper than that?
Yeah, however much line you got. Yeah. I mean, you're going to have to pull it back up, so remember that too. You throw your line in there with your bait, a mackerel or a Mad Mac or something like that. And you can basically strip off some line, drop it in the water. And once you let this go, this is going to slide down because it's going down on mono.
Yeah.
It's going to slide down all the way down to the planer. You could put a stopper of some sort. I was watching that in the video, so that way he doesn't get tangled up with the planer at all or anything like that. But I've seen the guys, they put a stopper maybe about a foot or so up, and so it'll go down all the way to the planer. And then now your line's coming through there, right through there and out.
Yes.
So
and it's at depth.
Yeah.
And a lot of this bluefin, we all know, has been caught deep.
Right.
And plus, you made the point to me earlier that, trolling these jigs, these spreader bars, and all this stuff, we're throwing them way back there. The theory being that maybe the fish are spooked by the boat weight.
Yeah.
But so when you get it deep, the same thing applies.
Same thing, yeah. I mean, we always look at trying to get away from the boat, laterally like that, right? And so, long soak, kites, everything is fish far away. Bluefin they've always been known for that. They just don't get close to the boat. Once in a while, they'll boil next to the boat, but very rarely are they in the corner like albacore or yellowfin.
Yeah, right.
It just doesn't happen. So that's just part of their nature. So this is another way to get away from them, but vertically. Now, also what it's going to do is that if you are trolling a lure, now you can troll a lure deep and have one out. So you basically have a spread. You got your spreader bar on the one side, you got your Mad Mac on the other side, and you can have something down deep too.
Yes.
Now, the one guy told me that the way they use it down there quite a bit, a lot of marlin fishing and tuna fishing, Cabo, is that they'll have multiple ones of these clips. So you have multiple rods. And so now what they'll do is they'll send one down, bam, it gets bit, and you got another one of these, send another rod down. So you could have these things stacked on the boat, ready to go, 10 of them or whatever. That is cool. And just keep sending them down. Or maybe you get short bit, that you don't have to reset everything. You just basically have another release clip.
Slide it down.
Slide another one down.
That's
slide another
awesome.
one down.
That seems very efficient.
And especially with tuna fishing, these things, when they bite, they'll bite in bunches. You know, like I said, you troll around for a couple hours, you finally get on the spot that wants to go.
Yeah.
You can usually get 3 or 4 to bite right away.
Yeah.
And so this is one way to kind of just
maximize
your time. And maybe if you get 2 or 3 on, now you got to fight those. You probably want to pull this up so you don't tangle it up in a fish that you're fighting.
Right.
So you're not going to leave it down there all day. But maybe you could hook a couple fish and maximize the time out there.
That sounds awesome. Another good one, man.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it I got for you guys. I mean, I think we're going to do a little bit more demo on how this is going to work, but I think we were showing it pretty good. And that's about all I have new from our customers showing us.
That's
stuff.
about all you got new, and that's a lot as always. I learned so much when I come into Island Fishing Tackle. Sam, thank you so much. I know this is going to up everybody's game out there. Appreciate it.
You got it.